Hello, welcome back. We just finished this signature and originally we were going to put it on this page, but because of the bulk on this and the bulk on this, it was not laying over right, so I moved it to the back. So the following video at the very end, it will say to put it here. I'm telling you right now to put it here. And now you'll go into the rest of the video build. And I also want to touch on my attitude. I was very stressed out and extremely tired, and you're going to hear some of that in that video. So please forgive me. And I hope the video turns out good for you. Hello, welcome back. This is Charlie. We're here again with another signature. And I built another kind of fat one on two sides. I'm just hoping that once I get it together that it's going to lay down proper. So I'm going to ask that you please watch the video until I get things put on before you start, because if I have to make any corrections, I want you to be able to see that and catch that yourselves. And again, I am very, very sorry. I'm again working with a 4 signature album. I'm used to 6, but because of my paper, I can only do 4. So I am trying to spread out the paper, and I'm trying to make signatures that will be interactive and will give you lots of places to store stuff. So I think I'm failing. Anyway, you have this piece in your scraps. You hopefully should have this. On the back side, it looks like this. This pocket is going to measure in at 3 5/8 by 8 inches. So I'm going to take this off. Oh, God. Okay. This is going, actually, I'm glad I did this because I need to correct the measurement I just gave you. This is 8 1/8 across by 8 5/8 in the height. That means what I saw here is true. I just didn't think it through. 1 1/8 on this. It's got to fit across your base. So square it up in one of the corners and then let it come across. And then I'm going to glue this in. Such a pretty display right there. Whoops, I tried. Okay, I think I need to go have a glass of wine when I get done with this. All right, now it's time for some pretty lace. So I'm going to take this skinny tape and I'm just going to come right here across the top of this. Now, you have a lot of the laser cut elements that if you want to put something here, feel free to do so. I'm sort of holding off a little bit. I'm playing with some of them, but I would like to get this done and then see exactly what it is I have and then play with the strategic layering. And I think I am neglecting something here real quick. I get so focused on these things, I forget that I promised to come back to you on this previous signature. I've already got it mounted. Now I'm going to make some notes on the beginning of the video. This panel should have been on the left-hand side. And I don't know why I flipped it, but I did. But because of how tall this thing is, when you open this, it's not going to lay right. So you will really need to make sure that you put your tape down, put some glue down so that this does not cause this to pull up. So, but what I did was I put some lace here. I put one of the laser cut. I put a rose and a little laser cut. Some suitcases. Here's one of the gears, and I put one of the brass gears that came with the collection, and then this little tag. So when you open this up, I made a diagonal pocket over here. Nothing special on it, just the pocket. But to kind of break this up, I did put this laser element here, and then this is a nice tuck. Over here, I put in this beautiful piping system with these green leaves. So then when you open this up even further, I put this clock in right here. Open this up some more, and I put one of the tags here. I didn't do anything here or here, but I did put a combo. There's a pipe, here's a cage, and here's a rabbit over here on that long pocket. And of course, you know, I added that little lace. So then, let's take a look and see if I did. Oh, and I put a little assembly. Here's a rose with a clock. I did not do anything down here on the bottom. I didn't do anything here as either. I put a little rose petal with a chain here. I'm trying to remember what all I did, and that was it. Okay, and then I put it in the album. So I will make sure that there are notes to make sure that this gets flipped. And if you have not made it yet, you need to flip these two sides. Like I said, I don't know why I did that. It was all, anyways, I'm tired of making excuses. Okay. Right side panel. You're going to need to cut a piece that's going to be 4 5/8 across by 8 5/8, and you're going to do a 1/2 inch score, and we're going to attach that right here. Now I've gone ahead and assembled once again because I am making mistakes. You're going to make a flap that's going to measure 4 1/2 inches wide, 5 3/8, and you're going to score it at a 1/2, and you're going to score it at 5/8. You will set your magnets here, but this is another panel that you need to trim, and it's going to be 4 1/2 inches by 8 5/8, and that will get taped here, scored. You will close it, and then that's going to make the combination over here on this right hand side. I am going to line this up now and put this on. Okay. I probably could have been, I'm going to back that off just a hair because it's so close. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, I made myself a mess here. Come on. Okay. Jiminy's Louise, Charlie. You are just really failing here. There we go. Okay, that lays over a lot nicer. I'm not worried about these laying flat because they will eventually succumb to laying flat because we're going to have a top and a bottom flap. Now, this combination over here, you are going to have, this flap is going to measure in at 4 5/8 by 8 5/8, and you'll do a 1/2 inch score. building up on the top of this, you are going to have a piece that's going to measure 4 by 6, and you're going to do a 1/2 inch score and a 5/8 inch score. 2 side panels, each one will be 3 3/8 by 5 3/8, and each one of them will have a 1/2 inch score. Down here at the bottom, this is going to be, oh, I didn't finish my measurement. Hold on here just a second. Again, 4 by 6 with a 1/2 inch score, but this time you're only doing the 1/2 inch score. We did a deeper score up here because I want this to be able to fold over here and absorb this bulk. So you will have a 1/2 inch and a 5/8 up here, but you're only going to have a 1/2 inch down here. And the panels are the exact same measurements. And this is going to mount to the left side. Okay, so I'm going to flatten it that way, and I'm just going to stay off that hinge. Do a better job of it this time. Ta-da! Okay, they look like a mess right now, but they'll clean up. Okay, so let's start on this side. These are on the, I need to turn this back over. Okay, so out here, you've got a piece of paper that has a grid pattern on it. Pull it out. We're going to make several cuts out of it. Your first 2 cuts are going to come off the top. I want you to, oh, I'm so sorry. My brain's running 90 miles an hour. I so apologize. You are going to cut a piece that's going to be about 4 1/4 inches deep by 8 inches. I want these bigger assemblies trimmed because it's going to be some of these scrap pieces that you're going to be using. And you want, take a good look at this. So you've got this HO over here, and it looks like maybe the word produce, and this beautiful floral with this round circular item and a gear. So you're going to trim this. There's a piece here at the top. Hold on here just a second. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Oh, no. What am I doing? What am I doing? Hold on here. I know what I'm doing. I'm confusing myself. So this is what it looks like. Okay, in its almost its entirety. So this small little rose petal is basically what you're cutting off. So you're going to come down that 4 1/4 inches, or come up that 4 1/4 inches, but then you're going to turn this piece over, and that's for the bottom flap. So just set that aside, because then you're going to come in and off that strip, you're going to trim up to get this assembly here, hopefully. And that's what's going to go right here. All right. And then, hold on here. You're going to take moments like these and you just place it up here at the top. And I forgot to ink. Okay, so take a good look at this. This piece is 3 5/8 wide. if I remember right, this was a complete side. I don't know if I have, oh, wait a minute, there is another one. Hold on. This will be so much easier to deal with. Oh my gosh, I can't believe just how brilliant I was just now. Look at this. Okay, so this is the sheet. You're gonna come in here and you're gonna trim this piece first. So you will be coming in at 3 5/8 and you're gonna cut straight up because we're gonna use some of these pieces as well. And then once you get this piece cut, you're going to trim out this piece right here. So if I match this up, you're going to come up from the bottom 3 3/4 of an inch. So once you trim this piece, come up 3 3/4 of an inch, cut it across the bottom, and then you'll have this longer piece remaining. And then from that trim point, you will then cut up another 5 1/4 inches and you'll cut this out. You'll have this piece here left over. Okay? So I'm just going to lay that right over there, and this is the piece you're going to cut out after you make this split. And then this is what you will be trimming for, so set it aside because this is what we're going to trim into for the top and bottom flaps. Okay? So I am going to go ahead and get this glued in. Then when you open this up, you need to set your magnets right here. So I don't want this, you don't have to. I just personally did not want this flapping loose and this flapping loose. So you set your magnets. And then you've got this wild black and white stripe. And we are going to cut into it. So you'll be cutting this strip. These are all cut to fit, and I rarely do this, but this is going to be 3 5/8 wide. And then you're going to make a pocket. It's going to be 3 3/4 inch by 2 1/2, and it is, so you're going to glue this in first, and I'm just going to glue it. I'm not going to worry about the tape. That's so pretty. Oh, what if I reverse these? That would be a great combo. Do it this way, Charlie. I like that piece. Okay, my intent was to use this side, but now that I've turned it over, I really like this side. So we're going to put this in here. We're just going to switch things up a bit. And then we're going to put this in. Now I cut this down. I'm trying not to waste a lot of paper because we don't have a lot to play with. So I cut this just deep enough that it would come in about 1/8 of an inch under this pocket. Now we're going to flip sides, and this is going to go down here. Nice bit of contrast. And I will be putting some of the laser cut items here, but again, I'm just going to kind of wait till I get, oh no, I already saw it. That's right. I apologize, people. I'm kind of exhausted. Okay, so I did pull out the bird cage and the owl. And be very careful. It is such, the laser cut's just got some small, delicate features. I want to make sure that this is glued down. So I'm going to drop this bird cage down a little bit so that I make sure that that's where it's supposed to be. And then we have the owl, so we can kind of balance him in here. However we like, I'm going to kind of layer him a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so the next piece is going to be in here. No, this piece went here. This piece went right here. All right, I'm getting myself confused here as to what it was I laid out. And then this was going here. This is going to go here. Why do I feel like I'm missing something here? There it is. Okay. So this is the, oh, I like my frog. So you have a piece, and I remember now this was the side I wanted to use. I specifically trimmed about 1/4 inch below the tail of the lizard. It's a lizard. And this rose assembly, which will go right here, and it is cut short because, again, I'm trying to save paper. And then this is that piece that's the, what do I want to call it? It's one of the sheets that you see on the front that has the name of the 49 a market, and this was the middle. I know you know what I'm talking about because we cut off the dark side and I said save the pastels for later. So that's where this is coming from, right here. Okay? So we're going to go ahead, we're going to move in here, and we're going to get this put on. And then we've got our little pocket that measures at 2.5 inches by 4 inches. The back side of it's that kind of taupey gray color. Okay, so now let's open this back up and let's put the elements in place. That's kind of pretty. I always do this, that I focus on something, but you know, I've played with this assembly, but I like this. So I'm gonna ink the edges on this side. Now you can use whatever side you want. It's just that you're using the paper, which has this rose. It's got a pipe on it. The back side has this information on it. Has the green diamond pattern, a trunk with the hat. So again, you can use whichever side you want. I'm going to use this side because this is getting repetitive. And I am going to tape this. I've already had to move those magnets around a couple of times putting this thing together. So definitely taping. I actually had this built up with an extra flap on it, but that's why I had to remove the magnets. It was not working out. So I get to look at the paper a different way because it's being laid. It's just different. Okay, so we got this. This is up here at the top. And then I took a piece of that striped paper, and to kind of break it up a little bit, I took a 5/8 inch strip of just something random out of my scraps to break this up a little bit. And this is going to go down here. So this pocket, 3 inches by just a hair over 3 3/8. So be sure to measure your width. And I know that this is a cut where this should be laying this way, but it just actually makes for a great accent off the top of this. And then we'll put in this pocket. There was no sense in trimming this out at this point. I decided not to. Okay, so that actually got trimmed down to 3 3/8. I took that fraction off of there. And then I've got this little makeshift piece here, break up that stripe. And then this piece here, this is one of the patterns in solids. And I chose the purple side because color-wise it just blended better. We're going to get a chance to play with a lot of the different colors here in a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to do a top and bottom tuck, and this is going to measure at 1.5 inches by 4. And you're going to tape the ends. And I found where my center was, so I can just kind of set this. Did I not cut this long enough? I don't like seeing purple sticking out at the end. Hold on here. Well, I'm going to be cutting a new piece. I don't like seeing color at the end. And it's 1.5 inches. Do the ends first. And then in the middle, roughly. Okay. Now this should cool. Okay, get rid of the gluey tips, center this as best as I can, run it across. And then I just chose a really pretty, make sure the words are going in the right direction, piece out of my scraps, and I just trimmed it to fit. And it's not, boy, I am just flat not cutting things very well. I get exasperated with myself because I cut things in such a hurry. So this was a previous piece that I ended up not using. So I'm going to trim it in here. Do a little bit better job of sizing it in. Now I hope I did this right, because I just cut all those off. Yeah. And I'm not sure what I will put here, but I will put something. And I will be putting something here. Okay, what just happened? There we go. There we go. That side's done. Now we're going to go to this side. Okay, starting at the top. You should have this trim in your collection. It's got the black lacy on it. It's got a floral assembly, except I think it goes this way. The black lacy's across the bottom. And that's the piece I'm putting right here. It's got this mint green framed in back side B. Okay, now we're going to open this up. And then this striped paper, I trimmed a piece to fit here, and then the reverse side of the striped paper, I trimmed in this piece to fit right here. Now I'm going to turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing when I go to glue this down. Oh, I did not this. Okay. That's done. And I will be really honest with you, it was a strategy to cut these. So please be careful. Take a look at this side of the paper. It's irrelevant what this side looks like because the whole sheet on this side looks like this. But you will want to really focus on this side of the paper and do your trims accordingly. So each one of these strips are coming in about 2 3/4 of an inch. And if I remember right, this is on the left side, if I remember right. Now, and then you're going to open this up. Now, and then this piece, it's upside down, I think. I can't see these words, my glasses. It goes this way. So this piece is going to go here in the center. And this, the reverse side of that is that mint green. It has a soft rose here. And then you've got some words. And then you've got a cream colored rose, purple one, and then some stitching. And it looks like a frame right there. This is what I put here in the center. Okay. Don't forget to set your, did I already tell you that? Don't forget to set your magnet. So the easiest thing to do is to splay this open, leave this closed, set your magnet, either start at the top or the bottom, but get them set in so that when you go to start adding down here, your pieces are already together. Now, I think I just screwed up. I don't believe I did this. Okay, so I know these two pieces will repeat the pattern and they'll go down here on this side. I'm just taking big, heavy size. I don't know why I feel so out of whack. Okay, so there's that. What I think I messed up on was I put something in the center that belonged right here. So I'm going to steal another piece. What did I do? Where did this come from? It's too big. Okay. I do know I put this pink here in the center. So let me do what I know to be true. I laid these all out in the order that they were supposed to go back on, but I think I threw myself off when I put that one piece in the center, which is going to throw off everything else. So I know this goes here. And then I took a scrap and I cut we're going to make a tuck down here. This is going to be 2 3/4 by 3 1/4. And then you'll trim your scrap piece to fit. And this is just going to go down here. And then this is going to get glued on. Okay, so that's done. Now we got a tuck, and you've got a spot up here for your I screwed up. Okay, so how do I salvage this? See, all these, oh, what's this? All of these small panel pieces are trimmed from the solids, and that is what you're going to put on these flaps. I know I screwed up with that right there. I don't know if I can get it off. I glued it on. And that means for me to fix what I had set, I'm going to have to dig into a 12 by 12 that I don't intend to dig into, and I don't know if I can get this up. I don't care if I tear and leave paper. I just want this one up. Okay, come on, Charlie, you can do this. Come on. Okay, isn't that just an ugly mess? Jesus Christ, Charlie. Okay, so let's cover that up right away. So this is the panel piece, or one of the panel pieces I really, truly intended to be up here on the inside flat, because these are all photo mats. I've got to trim that. I do not understand why I am struggling with this. Okay, and then I don't... And then this is one of the panel pieces. And then I know I did a pink diagonal here, and I did a pink diagonal down here on the bottom. So I'm going to get those in place. Do what I know to be true. Okay, so that one's done. Now down here. So gray goes here. And then here's the last piece. It's purple on this reverse side of this pink. Okay. So close that, close this, and this is what went down here. So that's what that was supposed to look like. Okay, so in here, you have a couple of sides you can work with. I chose to go with this simply because this is being played and almost overplayed. So this piece here, which has the owl across the bottom of it, and we're going to put a pocket down here. So you're going to cut, I cut mine just long enough to fit this underneath this pocket, which is 3 inches by 4. Now, if you want to play with the floral side, that is entirely up to you. Once the paper is trimmed, you can use either side. It's your album. And then this is going to sneak in here. And then this is the bottom. This is the grid. Extra trim, scrap. There's the word I was looking for. And then here, I wanted to put, you have these in your ephemera pack. And I'm going to put that right there. And then there was another one, which was this one. Helps to break it up just a tad bit. Okay. Okay, hard part is done. Oops, that's not staying down. Now let's work on this is the top. This is how we're going to hide all this. This is the bottom, and it's my keeper. Okay, so now, okay, So your top flap is going to measure 8 1/8 across by 5 1/8. You will score it at a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score it at 3/4 of an inch because we've got a big buildup. So we want this to suck it all in. And the easiest way to do this is to set it in place, wrap it around, and then make sure that you're even on your sides. I had you trim it just a little bit wider, just a hair, so that it will encompass the big build underneath, so you're not seeing those flaps sticking out at the side. Your bottom piece is going to measure 8 1/8 across, 5 1/8, scored at a 1/2, scored at 3/4. And then you're going to bring this, wrap this again around. And where you're landing on is just in front of that 3/4 score line. That way this wraps over nicely. Okay. And then you're going to trim this piece out. And I took this little saying, I backed it on green cardstock. Underneath here is a magnet. Underneath here is a magnet. And then you're going to set, this is what's going to keep it closed. So this is just simply going to get removed. And that's what's going to close it. So you will need to make sure that when you set this magnet that you're not going all the way to the end. Come back just a tad bit off this round, set your magnets in, and then match your magnets to this before you do any covering. Make sense? All right, so that's going to go there. All right, this is what we're doing on the top. Okay, so we have this big clock piece. Didn't know really what else to do with it other than somewhat cut it in half, and this becomes our front. All right, so then when this comes out here, sits in here, you've got this little clock in the center, and then it will help frame up and keep this closed. So I'm going to do this first, but because it's such a critical piece, I am going to use tape. And I had a trimming error, go figure. So I had to lay down some tape. I don't know if I've told you how I've done this before. The paper has, once you cut it, you've got teeth. Oh, come over there. And if you put the two halves back together again, at least this is my experience. Put the two halves back together again before you tape or attach, but then take something and burnish them so that that teeth comes back together. It hides that trim cut really well. You don't hardly notice that it's there. And then keeping it together, where'd that just go? There it is. I do my taping in sections because I'm able to then pinch and hold while I tape, and then I tear, I tape and I tear. And that's how I walk my hand down that cut. All right, so now we are going to get this put on. All right, now we're going to do that same process with the bottom. I got just a couple more minutes to go, and it just dawned on me, I don't know if Mike got enough battery, so hold on here while I plug this in. There we go. Whew. Okay, so I'm just going to line this up this way. Why is it? I'm going to trim this down just a tad bit, not much. Because there should be a little bit of green showing on this end. Okay, so now that the outside's done, there you go. Okay, but let's get back to the inside. So I want to use the grid on the top. This will give you a place to put either a photo or do some hand journaling. So that's just going to get trimmed to fit right in there. Slid dead blasted. Come off of there. I need to trim that just a tad bit. I didn't leave my... I should have realized that since I had to trim the other one. Should fit, yeah, a lot better, Charlie. A lot better, Charlie. Okay. Down here, this is the other side, but this is too much. If you want to use it, you can. I would set it in here this way, where you've got the rose here in the bottom right corner, but I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to use this side. I think I need to trim this across the bottom. So let me do that before I go getting any more tape or glue or anything else on it. Okay, so sneak, oh, much better, much better, much better. Okay, that's gonna go in there just, and this would make a great spot to put a beautiful, delicate photo right there. So it's accented with the roses. But you can use this side if that's what you want to do. It's your album. Okay. Let's get this turned over. Let's get some tape on the back side. And let's get it mounted in our album. And I promise not to do an enormous build on the next signature. I promise. I'll do something a little more, less complicated, simpler. I'm just, like I said, I'm just trying to make up for the lack of 2 signatures. I could have made 6 signatures, but then each signature would be lacking in design because it wouldn't have enough paper. So that answers the question to someone out there that's going, well, couldn't you have made it work? No, not my style. I don't want to give you a wimpy album just because I'm out of paper. And that's what would end up happening. Now, that's the top. And that's going to sit in here like this. And we're going to bring it all the way to the end. Okay. I'm going to try and set this in one motion. It's so thick I don't want to have to dig around underneath of it to get these tape backings off. So I'm going to pay attention here. Come all the way to the end. And if you don't want to lose this, just grab a magnet. Which one is it going to attach to? There we go. Gotta be careful around that lace. Alrighty, folks, we're done. There we go. All right. We'll now come back to this one and we'll make it a little bit smaller. Bye-bye.